Hello, everybody. My name is Renita Osborne, and I am presenting on my community health project for Nursing 323 for Professor Kristen Williams, Wednesday, April 19th, 2023. So this presentation of my community health project is to provide an overview and in-depth analysis of Cleveland Heights senior population as a target group, which have not been affected or been effective at mastering coping strategy skills when affected by the mental health mood disorders of anxiety and depression during COVID-19 and life stressors overall. What is anxiety? Anxiety is the body and mind's response to a stressful, hazardous, or foreign situation in life. That's anxiety. What is depression? Depression is a prevalent but serious mood disorder with severe symptoms that interfere with daily activities like sleeping, eating, or working. Definition of community. When looked for the perspective of the public health nurse, a community integrates how the community is involved, making use of information about families, aggregates, communities, and populations, as well as clinical understanding of the experiences of wellness and illness of individuals and families within the community. Within Cleveland, Ohio, which is my community, it's a diverse population of about 300,072 624 people in a manufacturing-based city. I genuinely love my city. I mean, it's just great. It's thriving, a thriving area for healthcare and a tourist destination city with a variety of things to see and explore. It's also the home to the former Cleveland Indians, which are now called the Cleveland Guardians. Yay for the baseball fans. And then the Cleveland Browns, the Cleveland Cavaliers, where LeBron James played and he won a championship back in 2016. What a great time. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Museum, Science Center, and the infamous Cleveland Clinic are along with many other attractions. Definition of community continued. So, what is social determinants of health? It is a set of factors that contribute to health, significant health disparities or inequalities, impacting people's health, well-being, and quality of life, and are related to non-medical factors of social economic status, employment, social supports, neighborhood and physical environments, education, and access to health care. Although we have all Although I have discussed or addressed all five of these social determinants of health, I'll only be discussing the most relevant one in relation to my community health project of behavioral health and mental health. The community of Cuyahoga County has numerous resources, including the acronym ADAMS, HS. Board of Cuyahoga County that fund for programs regarding mental health treatment, art therapy, which is like a mental health recovery support, peer support, and a program called Senior Strong, which is a prevention measure for older adults conducted through one organization that they do partner with called Far West Center. I think it's phenomenal. So, for my windshield survey, the city of Cleveland Heights is the basis of my windshield survey. It's a suburban area that is within Cuyahoga County, Ohio. Exploring through my city, you can see the vibrant and small restaurants, cafes, specialty shops is in one part of my community, which is made up of a variety of architecturally lovely designed homes. It's one reason why I moved here is because it has wonderful and well-kept landscape of yards and trees. I just love trees. It feels really naturistic walking through the neighborhoods and sightseeing. There are many parks and historic sites here where you can see cyclists on the bike trail as you continue to drive through Cleveland Heights. There is a wide range of things to discover here. So it was a few things I wanted to highlight, which is the safety. In my community, you can see a variety of police officers and kids playing. You don't see a lot of you don't see much of criminal activity and things of that nature. You see cameras on different businesses, even homes have the like my home. I have a Vivid system, but it's pretty safe overall. And then the schools and the buildings itself are just in great condition. They're in really good condition, and they are well kept and very inviting in the neighborhood, within the community. Again, with the local stores and businesses, it's a lot of new restaurants that has popped up, a lot of specialty shops, a lot of different things that you can do during the day, and even more so during the night as well. What I do love about my community of Cleveland Heights as well is, again, it is a lot of recreational things to do, parks, health care wise. There is quite a few emergency room and naturistic things of that nature, holistic healing and medicine. Also, but there is some community gaps where I believe I didn't see any behavioral centers or treatment centers that were local in the same community, where you would have to probably travel to the next big city, which would be Cleveland, Ohio, amongst amongst Cuyahoga County. That's some of the gaps that I did see in my windshield survey. The city of Cleveland Heights, as far as what a community assessment for data generation is, it is a process of data collection or analysis that produces a document or product. The community assessment is important because it makes it possible for trustworthy data to offer insight to provide the community with awareness, improvement, and services. It is important to identify those who are affected, provide knowledge to help them make the best decision possible, and mobilize partnerships and resources. I think that's awesome. So some of the key takeaways is that the community of Cleveland Heights, Ohio is demographically diverse. You will see almost every race, ethnicity in my community. It is a mixture, and I love that. It's just a beautiful thing to see. It has a population of about 44,652 people within an area of about 8.0 square miles. With the senior population that I'm dealing with, it's about 18.9% of the population that is 65 years of age or older. Cleveland Heights uninsured population is about 4.5 of total population. And with that, as we've studied before, you see a lot of the older, the seniors that deal with poverty too. And we have about 16.4% in our community that deals with poverty. All right, community assessment data generation continued. Again, more key takeaways. Cleveland Heights Medicaid utilization rate is 20.2 of that population. A lot of, as you probably have seen if you're working within the hospital or the nursing home or that type of they use Medicare, Medicaid, and so the utilization for the Medicaid, in which case is 20.2. In my area of Cuyahoga County, the leading causes of morbidity, for adults are, of course, heart disease, which I saw even nationally is like number one, cancer, and then you have chronic low respiratory disease, which was, dealing with COVID being a respiratory upper airway issue. It says that according to recent research, 20 to 30% or more of those who contracted COVID-19 will experience health issues for weeks or even months after the virus, which has been eradicated from their bodies, giving way to mental health issues of anxiety and depression, which I can say that thoroughly during some of my pre-assessments and assessments of my seniors. UH Hospital correlates mental health issues lasting with community members long after COVID-19. So, community partners and resources. Within the topic that I speak, I formed a partnership with the director of an independent living community. Initially, that was not the case. It took me like 3 different sites that I was trying to get into. I'm like, oh my gosh, because we literally had 2, weeks, or we had to have everything by week 2. And so I was very grateful that I was able to partner with the director, Patrick Crowell at Richmond Heights Place. And he basically was a guide and a very helpful in helping me form my educational forum that I presented on coping strategies and problem techniques, where the Cleveland Heights seniors were taught to successfully manage anxiety and depression amid COVID-19 to make this project a success. Some of the utilized community resources. I utilized 3 that I felt would be helpful in pertaining to my project. The first organizational resource will provide like a comprehensive mental health treatment, prevention, education programs that are client-centered, family-based, and recovery-focused, which is their mission statement. It's called Choices Behavioral Health Care Partnering, and this organization would give my liaison, Patrick, and my community members access to diagnostic services, counseling, Medicaid assisted treatment called MET, which would help seniors develop their inner strength and encourage the continued use of supportive services for effective problem solving abilities long term. Two other ones that I use, the community resources that I utilize. One is called that I partner with for behavioral health, in which they do comprehensive mental health care to adults 55 and older to stabilize behavioral health symptoms. That's according to their mission statement. They're at Benjamin Rose Institute of Aging. I believe this partnership will help my community members because you have the benefit of having skilled professionals conduct an in-person or telehealth, which is very convenient, thorough assessment to aid in selecting the best behavioral health treatment or services needed to manage mental or emotional issues like depression or anxiety. Another resource, which is a private nonprofit organization called Frontline Services, they reach out to adults in the Northeast Ohio area to prevent suicide, resolve behavioral health crisis, or overcome trauma. They offer a variety of different tools for mental wellness, which I love. It's Community members would then greatly benefit from this because they have a 24-hour hotline for the members who struggle with anxiety or depression or really any issue that is bothering them mentally. So my next slide is my community health diagnosis. And so from the perspective of the community, from public health nursing, the official NANDA diagnosis list for the community health plan that was used for mine is ineffective coping. And I selected this among my Cleveland Heights seniors, was related to a knowledge deficit of mental health care. And that was evidenced by, decreased abilities to handle stressors and solve problems where it was most appropriate. My community health diagnosis, upon pre-assessments and assessments, subjective commenting, like I just want to go to sleep most of the day because I lost one of my loved ones due to COVID. It was really sad to hear some of these stories. Or I just worry if my kids and grandkids are safe. They stay in another state. The targeted community members of the seniors in my community of Cleveland Heights, they have demonstrated this knowledge deficit by stating these comments. And this inability to stress management and problem solve as part of successful coping skills is linked to the pandemic's systemic effects. So, my community health plan. This community health project's overarching objective is to enable primary prevention, health promotion, and execution of strategies for senior community members to effectively manage stressors in their lives. So, I utilize like most of us, as instructed, the SMART goals, the acronym SMART, which is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound, which assisted me in being a useful guideline when I was documenting my goals and objectives. So my first short-term goal was community members will be able to verbalize 2 ways to use appropriate coping techniques for managing the mood disorders of anxiety and depression, for problem solving and reaching resolutions after the interactive PowerPoint presented is finished. My next short-term goal, my second one, was to create a section for community resources on a brochure to distribute to community members after a successful educational PowerPoint presentation. This page will be used to collaborate and connect with local organizations, and it will serve as a platform for community members to acknowledge the printed information as an additional resource for social and mental health support. And finally, my long-term goal, the one, I want to say 2, but the one, is community members will continue using established social and mental support services for at least 90% of sessions 6 months after the interactive educational forum is complete. So here is my homework right here, which is the interventions of community. Some things I did not put in the picture, but I did have a bunch of the pre-assessment assessment tests that I did prior to see where I wanted to focus on. And then I did ask a few questions, scenario-based questions as well, where I asked them, what would they do to kind of survey and evaluate, what they would say, what their response would be prior to or after the presentation. So, focusing on the mood disorders, anxiety, and depression, I gathered and created pertinent information on related causes, symptoms, and warning signs to watch out for, as well as practical coping mechanisms to handle life stresses. And this was really good, you guys, because I'm like, these are some takeaways that actually helped me out. I also created a few interactive games that encourage the seniors to think more deeply and reflect reflectively about their emotional well-being. And here are some of the evidence. So as you can see, you have me here. Some of the people were still coming down, but I didn't want to start too late. So I want to be on time. I have a few who are looking at one of my slides, which is saying what is anxiety. Then I got this neat anxiety ball where it asks different things, and what we did was we tossed it around, and you wherever your thumbs land, you have to answer the question. So for example, I have one on display right in front of you. It says I worry about, and again, some of the people were saying they worry about their family, their grandkids, if they're going to be safe, is this pandemic really going to go away, just different things. I had one lady, which is surprising. She's 92, and she was a registered nurse. One of the first, I believe she said, in um, Cincinnati, Ohio. And she was saying, even at her age of 92, she worries about death sometimes. And, I'm like, wow, you would think at 92 you've lived this full life. But she said that was one of her things that she worries about. So here on my next slide, these are all of my PowerPoint slides that I created. I liked it. I want to make it kind of fun. I had a few videos of the little monster there, relaxing. He's in an exercise class. You got the one guy, he's talking to a friend he met up with, and he's explaining how his grandmother's coming into town and they have to clean up and they got to do all these different things. And it just was really cool to go by and just be really interactive about everything, dealing with the mood disorders of anxiety and depression. Here's a few more slides I had. I created a lot because it really was, I wanted to be as in depth as possible. So they really took away these coping strategies. I think I did about, it looks like 6 for my depression and 9 for anxiety. And then I have my fireworks. So here's my brochure. I'm so proud of it. Where it just has, basically the front of the pamphlet, which is like a helpful aid with coping mechanisms, emotional literacy, and tap into how you feel and learning how to manage those emotions. I also have the suicide hotline on there too. And on the very back of the first page of my pamphlet, it shows that. So let me wrap this up because I'm already at 23 minutes. Here is the inside of my pamphlet with some coping strategies, what it is, again, helpful community resources. This is the evaluation of my community health plan project. So the effectiveness of the implemented phase of the community health project must be assessed in relation to the previous acknowledged SMART goals. So for me, my short-term goal number 1, the survey of the seniors at the independent living facility revealed that they were confident in their ability to articulate coping mechanisms that ultimately helped them feel good about managing life stress. I was so excited. It almost looked like they just had their countenance just changed, because it was like, wow, I can really handle these things that life throws. The second short-term goal, the community members were able to recognize and communicate written information about nearby supportive organizations for mental health. So this objective was also achieved. So goal 1 and goal 2 of my short term was met. The long term goal, unfortunately, it was not met, and that's because the original long-term goal was that in 6 months they would utilize 90%. But I believe, so this goal was undetermined. So if the community project were maybe finished by week 4 and evaluated in the last week, that would give me roughly, or give it roughly 30 days later. And that then would have me some type of data analysis that could attest to the long-term goal outcome, and then achieving this goal in a different way. As a conclusion and summary, this public health disparity around mental health disorders has been observed in my community of Cleveland Heights, and COVID-19 especially, or essentially, brought on many life-altering changes for them that have affected the most vulnerable population, which is our senior citizens. I was extremely grateful to Patrick, my liaison, for working with me and assisting me in putting on this community relevant educational forum. I mean, from the setup, I had him notepads and pens and just taking notes and answering questions. I mean, they were so engaged. And then at the end of the forum, the participants said that they knew at least 2 coping mechanisms they can use right away, as well as resources that they could get, help, or, with translating the short-term goals, which has for me been accomplished. Like I said, however, determining the long-term goals, that would more or less require additional analysis. But overall, my community health project was very successful in teaching how to manage coping skills to effectively master the mental health mood disorders of anxiety and depression amid the COVID-19 process. And I thank you guys so much.